friends, it's Jenny, and I am back with another video in our newest Pandahall collaboration. And yes, as you can see, I did end up splitting this into two 18 grid organizers. As I use stuff, I may combine them back into one, but right now the blue absolutely fills up this side. The brown is a little bit more spread out, but I have plenty of room for all of my larger charms and pendants that I had wanted to be able to look at and be able to decide and design as we go. Oh, I meant to grab these. Oh, that actually changes what I was planning on doing. I had forgotten I was going to use these. I am going to make kind of a farewell to fall set tonight. And I just need to change out a couple of my findings. I was adding some findings from my stash. I was going to be like, oh, let's go silver. But I want to use these leaves and they're gold. And I don't really want to do mixed metals, so I probably am going to switch to gold. But that you won't see. I'll just do that while I am off screen moving things around. But I am going to go ahead and use some of these crystals. These are some rondelles and some bicones, as well as these larger bicones for a little bit deeper brown, to pull out some of these tones that we have in our Aqua Terra Jasper, which I love. And I found in the blue box, I was going to do the aquamarine, and that could still be an idea. It's a very organic thing. But this color of bead in the Alice Blue mix is actually perfect with the blue in this pendant. It's just a touch more on the green side instead of like more of an icy blue. So I'm excited. I'm going to use those. Let me get these out of the way and get everything else all put together. But I did want to see you, since I'd mentioned it, that I was probably going to change my organization. This is what I ended up doing. So yeah, so you can kind of get a view of that. I'll be right back. Okay, I am back with some additional supplies and my tools. So I'm going to go over that real quick. From my Pandahall collaboration collection, I'm using the pendant, obviously. These rounds from the Alice Blue mix. And I'm going to use 3 different sizes from the Warm Browns, I think it was called. Glass, faceted glass crystal. Not really crystal, but crystal shaped mix, or bundle. And I am going to use these little filigree leaves for some earrings. So that's what I'm using from the collection. I grabbed from my stash some beading wire. This is a pretty fluorite color. It's medium, 49 strands, 0.019 diameter. And I'm going to be stringing on this. I also got some 22 gauge wire. I am going to attempt to actually do a little bit of wire wrapping. I am not as practiced at this, so please be gentle and patient with me as I do that. I might need to redo it if I'm not happy with my first result, and that's fine. We can always do that, guys. I also grabbed from my stash, I thought it would be, because this is kind of like a farewell to fall, that transition between autumn and the icy tones of winter. We're just now settling into that where I live in Texas. We often don't get snow, but we will get ice. And today is a cold, rainy day and part of that transition. But I still have leaves on my tree. They're brown, or they're mostly, I think they're brown now. But I have these. They're a light gold glass leaf that's electroplated, and I think that those are going to be fun to play with. And then if I need them, this is a little bit of a rose gold cylindrical seed bead. I think these are Toho's. Delicas are very similar, so that's what I'm going to be doing. So I am going to be using some warm metals and some cool accent colors, especially with these beads and the beading wire, which you won't see very much of this, but where you do, it is going to pull out some of those lovely green tones in our pendant. As needed, I'll get back into my other box. I have more of these beads that I haven't pulled out if I need to get some more of them. And yeah, this is what we're going to do. So I'm going to move the stringing stuff up above so I can work on the wire wrapping first, because that's the thing I struggle with. Like I said, this is 22 gauge wire. It is a dead soft wire, so it's very easy to manipulate. Sometimes for me and my wire wrapping too easy, it can be a little bit of a hot mess, but I think I know what I want to do with this. I'm going ahead and warming up my wire and smoothing it out by just running it between my thumb and my forefinger. Like I said, this is a very soft wire, so this is a great way to do that without work hardening your wire. And I am going to cut, I'm not sure how much I'll need. I'm going to go for about 10 inches of wire. Is that 10? Yeah, about 10. I'm going to play with it. I might need less, but I'm telling you where I start so that when you look at how much scrap I have at the end of this, you can see that. One of the tools I'll be using today is my flesh cutters. I'm going to go ahead and cut off this wire while I've got it measured, but I did forget to go over my tools. So I'm using the flesh cutters. Since I am doing a strung design, I'm using my magical crimpers as well as some crimp tubes. And then also because I am doing wire work, I am using my Casual Comfort plier set. So I've got round nose, chain nose pliers, and if I need them, I've got some bent chain nose as well. So these are the tools I'm going to be using. So let me move the magical crimper away, and most of our pliers I've already cut, so I don't need that. Let's get in here with the round nose pliers and the chain nose pliers to start with. Okay, this is a beautiful pendant. I love it. I considered several ways to do a bail on this, and I decided that wrapping it, doing a little bit of a wrap around the top of it, I don't want to go too far down because it is a small pendant already, and I don't want to cover up too much of these beautiful colors that I'm highlighting elsewhere in the design. This is the front. This other side is more flat, but it is also just beautiful. I actually love how much of that light blue-green is coming out, the aqua part of the Aqua Terra. That's just, guys, that's gorgeous. And it's not really a huge difference between, you know, flat and slightly curved. Very, very subtle. I might choose to have this be the front of my necklace. But the hole is very, very slightly, I don't know if you can see, very, very slightly off center. So I considered using one of the pinch bails that I got in the collection, but none of them were quite the right size and fit or the right kind of metal tone that I wanted to use. But also it's easier to cover up a slightly misaligned hole if you're using a wrap. So that is why I chose to do this. So I am going ahead and taking this 22 gauge wire, putting it through the front. I'm going to decide that this is the front because I really think that's pretty, and I don't mind that it's more of a flat cut on that back side. It's very, very subtle difference. I'm going to go ahead and bend this one up, actually bend them both up so they are kind of doing this over the top of it, giving it a little bit of room, at least for now. And then I'm going to bend the shorter one back like this, and I'm going to put this longer one more straight up. And there may be a right way to do this. This is the way I've decided to do it. So then I'm just taking this wire and I am wrapping it around. I am using my fingers. I'm more comfortable doing that. I know a lot of people use pliers as well, so that's fine. Got it a little bit too tight. Hold on. See what happened here? I just got that a little bit too tight and now it's off. There we go. Because I am going to end up wrapping down on it, and so, but I want it to make sure that it is centered above. So I'm done with the shorter one. I'm going to go ahead and snip that off. Whoop. There goes the wire because I was holding the pendant and not the thing. I'm just going to tuck in that wire just a little bit so that it's not interfering with what we do next. And because I've already got this space here for wrapping down, I'm going to go ahead and bend this wire over right at the top of that wrap and get my round nose pliers in. And I'm just taking this. So I've got my round nose pliers holding this here, actually at a little bit of an angle. I learned that from Chrissy. And then wrapping it around that top, opening the jaws and rotating it so I can come in behind so that I can get a loop. And that loop is centered above my pendant. Okay, so then I'm going to take the loop in hand like this, holding it with the chain nose pliers, and then I'm just going to gently wrap this down. Sorry, off camera. It is not going to be a perfect wrap. This is where my pendant is starting to be, and I want to make sure that I've got it in position to be a part of this wrap as I bring this down. I may not have gotten enough wire. Okay, that's being awkward to hold. I'm trying to bell out the wrap a little bit so that I can get it around the top. I did not cut enough. I think this happened when I tried to wrap something for Becky as well. I completely underestimated how much wire I would need to actually come down and cover that. Look how close I am, guys. Look how close. I'm gonna keep going because it might be fine. How's it look? Oh, but this is the one I wanted to be the front anyway. I was still holding it as if this was the front. But look at this, look at this. So I'm just kind of shaping that wire a little bit. You can see the hole and a little bit at the top of that, but I think that that's good. One thing that I needed to do was make sure that make sure I turn this the right way. My loop needs to be this way for stringing on my work. So it disappears when you look at it straight on. So if this is the front, gosh, it is so close, guys. If I'd only had like 2 or 3 inches more. The method works. The method works. I'm going to snip this. I'm going to cut an extra 2 inches and get it back to this point, and be right back. Okay, friends, so I cut myself, I did 14 inches instead of just 12 because I didn't want to get close and then not have enough to do something fun. So I want to make sure that I get all the way down to cover that wire and the hole. This is the side that I decided would be the front. I just didn't bring you along for that whole rewrapping session. So it's got a little bit of an organic kind of feel to it. And we have that wire kind of running behind it. And you can see it a little bit through those loops. I'm doing one more. And then I'm taking this wire and I'm running it back up across the top. And wrapping it just a couple more times, about 3 times, back around the top where we'll be stringing it on. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. My friend Heather uses a tip where she cuts to the side so you don't have scratchy wire at the back, but you also don't have it looking funny at the front. So I'm going to go ahead and get that in and just kind of tuck that wire just a little bit so that it's out of our way. And now I have a little wire wrapped pendant that I can use for my farewell to fall necklace. So I did it, guys. I wrapped, and I did show you how I started it. I did redo, but I made sure I got back to the point where I had left off so that you could catch up with me easily. This is the other side. Honestly, it looks good from both sides, so if this necklace flipped, it's not a big deal. It is slightly reversible. This right here, this swoop back up, is a little bit more decorative on one side, but I think both sides look good. I just like that there's so much more of this showing because my wrap required that I cover part of the blue-green that's on this side. Okay. All right, now let's get out my beading wire. And I am going to string this on the spool. That's often how I like to do strung designs, is I will leave it on the spool. I'll start somewhere in the middle and just play with the beads. We are at the play with the beads portion of this design. So I'm getting out the beads that we're playing with, all the different crystals, which are super fun. I love that there's so many of these to choose from, and I got 3 different sizes so that I can play with the patterning on that a little bit. This is mostly going to be these kind of amber and I don't know what color you would call this one, Peru tones, just because, like I said, the original intent with this was to do a fall design, but I feel like I really lucked out on this pendant, having so much of this blue that lets me use it as more of a transitional item. That honestly, with these colors, it can be worn all year. The only thing that's really thematically fall is going to be the leaves, but we'll see how that all works out. I'm just getting off some of each of these. And by the way, each of the items from the Pandahall collaboration that I am using are going to be listed with their links in the description. If you do choose to go ahead and check out any of these items, there's also a discount code in the description, where if you order from pandahall.com and you get these items, then you can get, I just totally blanked on what it is. I think it's 10%. 10% off. I will double check that. I'll need to pause at least one more time before I finish this video. So at the end of this video, I will make sure I have the updated correct information. I do have something that I need to take care of at a specific time, so I will be pausing and stepping away for that, but you'll hardly notice because then I'll be right back with you. And then I need to get these guys. Oh, they're in the pokey wire. Definitely getting these off the strand. There's this wire that that is often used that is super fine and pokey, and we generally will take stuff off, but I had gotten these in a separate order, not as part of a collection, from somewhere else, and so I had not actually unstrung these yet. But I'm just taking all of them off, even if I'm not going to use all of them. I don't plan on using all of them. But today we are going to make a necklace and earring set using these. It's possible we may even add a bracelet. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to deal with those other two, the leaves on the ends, later when I'm paused. But I am liking these kind of warm with like light gold. They're not an exact match, but I don't really need them to be because I have a lot of different tones of these other warm colors. So let's play with this and see how it goes. I know that I often like to have small beads on either side of my bail. It just kind of helps the pendant sit nice without being jostled out of place by larger beads. Oh, if I can find these holes. I just want to make sure that I have the clearance that I need. So this is how I'm doing. I really am liking this side as my main side, so I'm glad that I'm doing that. All right, and I think that I'm going to, let's play with finding a pattern because I do like symmetry. I could do this very boho style, but it's not my go-to, and so it's a little bit more difficult for me to do. Now, I chose these particular crystals. There's a whole bunch in that collection. These ones were the ones that seemed a little bit on the light side, but also I could have varying sizes. So I have these small faceted rounds, and then I'm putting on the bicone, and then I've got these larger, more of like a dark topaz rondelle. And I think this is far enough away from that focal that I can start to do other bits. I'm going to get more of these little rounds. They might be rondelles. Oh, they are rondelles. They're just very slightly smaller one direction than the other. I'm using them as kind of spacers between some of these things just so that they'll sit pretty. I'm just going to play with this. If I don't like it, I'm going to switch it around. And I have the seed beads that I got out, but I don't know if I'm going to end up using them. I feel like I'm using enough metal tones between the leaves and the wrap that I don't necessarily need the seed beads for the glimmer. Plus we've got all the faceting on the crystals. So I'm just getting what I think is one repeat done, and then I'm going to look at it and see what I want to change because we are playing with our beads. I really loved this, this collection. All right, I know that I'm gonna wanna change some things. I just need to figure out what. So this is as it currently is. Actually, I do kind of just like that. What is feeling strange to me right now is not having a bicone coming back out of the, from the larger things, because I decided to use these smaller ones as spacers instead of getting the seed beads. I feel like I'm skipping a bicone. So let me add that in and see how I feel about that. And if I still don't like that, then I'm going to swap out those middle bits for the seed beads after all. I think it's just that the seed beads are a little bit different tone than I actually want there. So that's why I'm hesitating. I am really liking my choice of wire. I'm going to hold it up and show you in just a moment after I finish getting this on. I'm very, very much liking the choice of wire. I am seeing it through these crystal beads, which I thought that I might. And with the way that they're faceted, they're doing this gorgeous little thing where it's like these flashes of that earthy blue-green that we have in the stone, in the focal. So I think that's going to be nice. I'm getting more of the bicones. And then again, so if this satisfies me better, then that's going to be our main repeat. I'm going to get this against the dish, just because there's a lot in the background and I can make the dish block out most of it. So I do like this. And here's where I was talking about. You see how it, like where you see this green fluorite beading wire through here that matches the pendant so perfectly. You see little flashes of it through the crystal as well. So it's kind of, it continues that combination of the Aqua Terra, literally the aqua colors and the earth colors. So I think I'm liking this. I think this is pretty. I think that that's good spacing from the pendant. And I am going to continue with this pattern and get at least half of this strung the way I want it. I'm going to go ahead and move these over. So just to confirm, so I put a lot of these on, just kind of playing with it. I'm going to actually talk through my pattern with you when I put it on this time, in case you missed it while I was doing it before. So I'm starting with one of the smaller, lighter colored rondelles, and then the middle size bicone, and then the larger, darker rondelle. See how we're kind of going in and out of that pattern? No, I don't want to do that. I want to go straight into leaves. I changed my mind. I thought I was repeating this, like mirroring this itself, but I'm not. This is my two alternate groupings. I've got this crystal grouping, and then I've got the leaf and glass bead grouping, and then so we're headed into the leaf grouping. So the leaf grouping, we're using these small rondelles as kind of spacers for everything. So we've started with a small rondelle here, and that's going to be right up against this leaf, this gold-plated, light gold-plated glass leaf. And then another one of these, because it's our spacer before the light blue-green. These are 8mm beads from that Alice Blue mix. Another small rondelle, another leaf, another small rondelle, and then we do our trio of bicone, large rondelle, bicone, and then we start over again with the small rondelle, the leaf, and so on. So I'm going to go ahead and keep stringing this. I'm just going to do this. tell you a little bit more about our Pandahall collaboration. We did this first. They approached us in the middle of the summer, and we wrapped that one up in October, I believe, is when I posted the last video for that collaboration. And so then they said, hey, let's do another one. I said, okay. So I went ahead and did some ordering. I got on and I chose some things with some fall tones and some winter tones. I'm very much a winter girl, so I'm looking forward to that. That's why most of my order is on the blue and silver side of things. But I did really like these and wanted to do them as well. But it was a pretty easy ordering experience. I do like their search function because unlike some other stores, if I put in nickel free, just put in those words, nickel free, and then pendant or nickel free, you know, findings, that is literally all it will show me. It won't show me anything that's not nickel free. You can shop on other places, and once they finish showing you the things that match your exact criteria, they'll start showing you things that match part of your criteria. And so then you start finding things that are actually nickel plated instead of nickel free. And so it's really hard, but I do like that about their search function. It means that I can make sure that I'm getting things that are good for me to use right away without having to do a lot of extra. It shows you when you're ordering if what you're ordering is available, and if it has a lead time, it'll give you an estimate how long that is. I did choose on both of the collaborations some items that had a lead time, so I went in fully aware that it might take a little bit longer to get to me. This time, one of them wasn't going to meet even that projected lead time, and so they contacted me to choose another item, which I did, and then, you know, continued on as we went. Once everything was gathered together and it shipped, it took about a week to get to me, which is really not bad considering how far it needed to travel. And everything arrived. I didn't have any problems with broken beads or anything like that. There was no, I didn't have, there wasn't any damage, and everything was as I ordered it. So that was really good. But so far we've liked doing our collaborations with them. This is really cute. I'm gonna get it up under the thing. I love that we have these nice soft colors to pull out the aqua part, but we're still definitely celebrating those warm autumnal tones. And I think that's pretty. I think that's also close to half of my necklace. I'm about to hold that up to my neck and check. If it is, or if it's just close, I'm not going to do, oh, I did something out of order. That's what I did. I missed a leaf because I've got a leaf on either side of the blue beads. And I missed that. Something was feeling off, but I couldn't figure out what it was. And it's possible that I've got too many leaves on here. I don't think I do. I like the texture that gives the necklace. So let me see where this fits on me. I like to wear my necklace so that it hangs more at the base of my throat than hanging down far. And I think that I'm going to go ahead and go with that length on this one, just because we did end up doing this really delicate pattern that is going to be really pretty circling around the neck. Not choker, but not something that hangs down very far. Yep, that is where I want to end this one. I'm getting my crimp tubes. There they are. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to crimp this side, and then we'll string the other side. So I am really liking these selections and how they turned out. And like I said, I added very little from my stash. I ended up only adding these leaves and then the beading wire and the craft wire. Everything else that I'm using was from the items that I ordered. So everything but those leaves and the wires will be listed in the description. So if you wanted to check them out, you could. These bundles, they were 10 strands, all of one color. Here's the blue ones, just to remind you, we've got all these different blue ones. There's 10 strands, in here of these blue toned ones. They're just a few dollars for 10 strands. It's ridiculous. And there's, I think, 5 or 6 different color sets. In fact, there's this green one that I really like, but it wasn't going. I wanted to make sure that as what I ordered for this collaboration wasn't just, oh, this is pretty, but I did want to plan to be able to do projects with them and complete projects with them. So yeah, so I did do that. Okay, I am going to go ahead and show you. This is the Magical Crimper. It's meant to be used with 0.018 to 0.019 beading wire. I am going to go ahead and zoom in just because this demonstration is a little bit easier if you can see it up close. It only works with 2x2 crimp tubes. I have these ones. It's really important that you have a crimp tube that has a nice thick wall. Do you see that rim? It needs to be nice and thick and no seam. Otherwise it won't work. Thinner walled crimp tubes might be fine for other crimping methods, but not for this one. So that is very important. The size of the wall and the fact that it has no seam is very, very important for the success of this. There is a spherical concavity inside the crimping pliers, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be squishing this tube with the wire stuffed inside it into this and make a nice little ball of crimp. So you're going to center the crimp tube after you've made your loop and got it the size that you want. You're going to center your crimp tube right there in that concavity and give it a little squish. And then when you pull it out, you'll see that you have made yourself a little ravioli. It's just pinched down those 4 corners. So this has started shaping the tube into a ball. You just rotate it 90 degrees so it's straight up and down. Make sure, again, that it is centered. It's important that you start centered and that you stay centered. And then give it another squish. And then you just open the jaws of your pliers and rotate and squish. Open, rotate, squish. And just keep doing that until you don't have resistance anymore. If it looks like you have like one side that's longer than another, just make sure that that's, you know, straight up and down. Give it another squish. When you no longer feel any resistance, then your crimp tube has been smoothed out into a little ball of crimp. That is a strong, crimp. It's biting down into the nylon coating on this wire, and it just really holds very well. You also don't need to feed your wire back through, so you can just snip it right up against the crimp. And there we go. That crimp is ready. All right, I'm going to scoot my beads down to the other end so that they're right up here where I crimped. And then I'm going to take my wire and I'm going to double it over and make sure that I'm going to cut off. Oops, let's zoom back out so that you can see my whole necklace here. I've got this stretched out and I've doubled the wire back over, and then I'm adding at least 2 inches for crimping. I like to have room to crimp. If you are living dangerously and use your pliers a lot for those kinds of things, you can have that go a little bit closer. But I like to have about 2 inches of room to make sure that I can maneuver the wire and the crimp tube and get what I want. So I'm just going to, at this point, I'm just duplicating what I've already done on the other side, on this side. So I'm just using the same beads in the same order. If I need to get some more of these crystals off, I will. I don't need to yet, but I think I will to complete the design. Whoop. Thought it went on the wire and it didn't. That'll teach me. I really like this. It's fun. I'm blonde, so my hairs are not easy to find, but one of them, I kept seeing like just little hints of it. And I'm like, I kept missing it to grab it and get it off camera. So if you saw my hair and it was weird and you didn't like it, I'm sorry, I fixed it. I did forget a bicone over here, so I am backing up my design just a little bit, my stringing, so I can make sure that I am not missing beads, because I can do that sometimes, especially if I'm like, okay, I've already figured it out. It's so easy now. And then my brain was stuck on, okay, you've done the crystals, now start this. And I'm like, oh, I need to come back out of the crystals with my symmetrical pattern, because my brain does like symmetry. I think most of ours do. I'm really impressed with the people who can do asymmetrical stuff with ease. That's not something that they have to think about or work toward. Bravo to you. I can't do that. I am very much a everything in its place kind of brain. But I do sometimes push myself and make myself do it. I didn't do it for this one. Maybe we'll do it for one of the other ones, especially with all those fun, different colored blues that we have in that other bead mix. That could be fun, because we will be doing at least one more pattern with this, possibly 3. The collaboration itself is to do a total of 3 videos within a month. My unboxing and the little make that I did with it is the first one, and then this is the second one. I'll be doing a third one within that month with the blue tones for a wintry design. But I also got some fun stuff to do, like a steampunk pattern. And I think that's more likely to be something I have the time for after the new year. So you probably, even after I finish the official collaboration with this, you probably won't have seen the last of these beads and the things that I got for this collection. I certainly got more than enough to do 2 designs plus an unboxing. It was a good order I was able to put in. Found some good deals. And it's funny because like the amount that they give me to go shopping is a set amount before the discounts. So like what it actually would cost for you to go and get the same beads is less than the amount of the budget that I took up. If that makes sense, does that make sense? But yeah. And that just goes to show that even like before the discounts, like they have good prices on things, because I was able to choose all of this for and stay within the planned budget for the collaboration. It's a lot of fun. I like doing that. I like going shopping for good deals. I know that we all do too. And I think Pandahall is good for that. I've enjoyed it. Let's see. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the blue beads. I'm seeing how far I need to go. I've still got a little ways. It's all right. I am going to need to get some more of the smaller, lighter colored rondelles off of its strand, which is just fine. I've got them right here. I don't have quite enough to finish this pattern, but I'm going to get to the point in the pattern where I run out of them and figure out how many more I need to pull off, and just pull off what I need. And then I'm not having to stick it back on its strand or have these small beads tumbling around loose. Yeah. And I'm actually going to look. They might have something similar to these leaves. I did get these leaves from my stash. They're not a part of the collaboration, but they might have something similar. I think I remember seeing something. If they do, I'll also put a link to those. It'll be I'll have the description say not part of this collaboration, but also available. If I can find them, I will look for that for you guys, so that if you're, what did I do? Okay, that's what I did. I got distracted. That's what I did. I think this is so pretty, guys. Look at how, like, just that little bit of that blue just softens this so much from being like heavy brown colors. I love that. I love that so much. I'm not a big fan of browns. So fixing my beads, and I am definitely, because I have caught myself making several mistakes already, I'm definitely going to be going back and comparing my two sides of my necklace to make sure that I didn't miss anything on either side before I put in that final crimp. Oh, that's the bicone. Okay, I have reached the point. Oh, there they are. Two more of the little guys. I have just a little bit more to string. So I think I just need, oh my gosh, I just saw this. So I'm going to show you how I fixed this. This is at the very end of my other pattern. I just saw that I skipped one of the little rondelles. So I'm going to show you how I fix that before I crimp this, so that we don't have to restring the whole thing, because we don't. This is not a fixed place. So I can scoot everything on the wire, even though these beads are right up against the wire. I can scoot them down and get some more room to redo this crimp. If my friend Jennifer was watching, she'd be like, no, restring the whole thing. Don't waste the crimp. But I am trying to do this all on video if I can. And so I need to, let's see. Just checking what I've done so far over here. All of this is present and correct. Our leaves are all lining up in the right place. And I just need 3 more of those rondelles, the small rondelles. 2 to finish this side and 1 to correct that side. So I need a total of 3 more. I might also use them in the earrings. I have not yet decided. We're going to play with that as well. Wait, nope. Yeah. 2. Yep. 1 here, 1 here. Okay, and then we go bicone, large rondelle, and bicone. And I'm going to be really glad that I did 2 inches instead of cutting it close on this, because I'm going to need half of this for doing one crimp and half of it for doing the crimp on the other side. I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to go ahead and, I'm going to go ahead and crimp this one instead of using the bead stop. I'm going to crimp this one, scoot everything down, and then redo the other side. That's going to be the easiest way to do it, and less trouble. You'll see what I mean. So this time when I do this crimp, I'm not going to take it out and show you the ravioli, because I have found that it is easier to keep your crimp tube centered if you don't actually remove it from the device. So this time, instead of pulling it out and showing you, I'm just going to open these pliers, rotate it so it's that straight up and down 90 degrees, and crimp again. And it's just much easier for me to make sure I stay centered, because that is a very important part of having a successful crimp, is to stay centered. And as I was learning, I do it. So if I'm not demonstrating it, I don't pull it out. I don't look at whether or not I have a ravioli. You can usually feel when it's wrong. You definitely get a feel for it. Okay. Scoot everything down to the other end, because we can. And then I'm going to snip this off where we already did our crimp. Get out one more crimp tube. And before I crimp, I'm going to actually fix the error. I almost just went straight back into crimping. So here's where I made an error. Instead of having a small rondelle next to that last leaf, I went straight into the bicone, large rondelle bicone repeat. So I'm adding in that small bicone so that it matches the other side. It's going to be at the back of the neck. People might not have noticed. I knew it was there, and I think it would have bothered me knowing that it was there. So I fixed it. All right. And then this time, when I'm doing this one, since this is the last crimp that I'm doing on this necklace, I'm coiling it so that it's got some movement. You don't want a stiff necklace, so you coil it a little bit. I put my crimp tube on, and I'm feeding that wire back through the crimp tube. Now this time, because it's one of the last things, I want this crimp tube as close to this bicone as it can be, but I want to make sure I have room to work my pliers. So while I'm tightening it and scooching it down close to that bicone, I'm also placing my thumbnail between, just as a small barrier to make sure that I am keeping space for the tool. So I've got this here. I'm clear of that bead. I'm giving it one more tug before I squish, just to make sure everything is positioned how I want it and the loop is the size that I do. And then I'm just going to go ahead and squish. And then do the same thing as I showed you before, where I just turn it and rotate it and keep going. And that one did start kind of funny, but I felt it and I corrected it by just shifting it to make sure that I was centered, and continued on, and I still ended up with a round ball of crimp. Even if it starts funny, you can continue on and do it. Just recenter and keep going until it smooths out. All right, and I did have a little bit of scrap left, but not too bad, not too bad. Okay, so this is my main part of my necklace. I think, let me see if I have still, I want to see if I have one of the clasps. They're the wrong tones. Just, these are some clasps that Becky made for me. So I was going to use one of those. I want something that is going to be the right kind of light yellow gold instead of something that is dark. And I'm not really seeing what I'm going for with that one. So we're going to go ahead and, just looking again real quick before I set this aside. I'm going to go with a lobster claw and jump ring, because that's an easy option as well. Where is, let's see one, there it is. Okay, so I'm just going to use one of these golds. It's the wrong tone of gold, but it's going to be at the back. And it's better than having a larger clasp that does that. Actually, hang on just a moment. I might have something that I just haven't put away yet. Oh, I found one, guys. Okay, so this is a toggle clasp that is the same metal tone as the wrap I did on the pendant. And it's got a nice long bar that has, I like the kind of organic, you know, wavy look to it. But the bar itself also has a wave to it, which means it's going to do a little bit better job of hooking and holding, which can be one of the problems with using a toggle clasp. So I've got two here. I think this is going to work out well for a bracelet. If I find that the toggle clasp isn't working on a bracelet, I will switch it later to like a magnetic clasp. But for this, for doing our necklace, this is going to be fantastic. So if this is the front of my necklace, then this is the right side. And I like to put the fiddly bit of my, and this, it also matches the jump rings, because these are a lighter gold jump ring as well, which I like. They're less of a yellow, I have friends call it macaroni gold. So it's less like that. And I like to put my fiddly bit in the right hand side. So for me, that would be the bar. I'll have the loop on the left and the bar on my right. So I'm just going to take one of these jump rings, and in case you are new to beading, one of the mistakes that I made early on many years ago was when I went to go open a jump ring. It was when there were no videos. You couldn't see someone do it. The instructions just said open the jump ring. So I grabbed it like this and I just opened it, like totally distended the circle. You want to keep the circle. So you're going to hold the jump ring in one set of pliers. Get a little bit of focus, focus, focus. My necklace is down here getting all the attention. And then you're going to grasp the other side. So you can see that little slit in there. And you're just going to rotate it gently towards you. And it just swings open like a hinge. You don't want it to, you don't want to pull it off. You don't want to pull the door out of the frame. So you just open it a little bit like that. These are 5mm jump rings. I'm just putting on my loop from my with my beading wire, and then I'm adding the bar. If I had large beads right up against it, I would probably add an additional jump ring just to have some articulation and movement. But this is a narrow enough space that it will easily fit into that loop when I need it to. So we don't really encounter any large beads right against that. And then I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side to attach my loop. So again, just putting this loop from the beading wire on. These loops and bars don't have fronts or backs, so just attaching them on that same jump ring is enough to do it. Just swing that until you get your jump ring nice and closed. So now we just slip this through, pull that bar through, and then hook it in. Ta-da! Little tug test so you can see how well that holds. See how well that catches? I like this design. I don't know if there's more of these available where I got them, but I might need to go and look. So I did add the leaves and the toggle clasp then from my stash, but I think this is really pretty, guys. This is also going to be really easy to turn this same design into a bracelet. In fact, if I use the same clasp, then I can get this and I can figure out about where I need it to end. It actually is in the middle of the same repeat to fit the way I want it to. So if I was going to do it, it would be, yeah, it would be from here to here. That would be a bracelet for me. No. I'm missing something. From here to here. Here we go. So from here to here, because it's 3 of those. Let me make sure this way. Yeah. Right, 4. And I'll just add a few extra jump rings. But we could finish it right there. I'm going to string this length again on my beading wire, and let's make a bracelet. Let's make a bracelet to go with this. I have enough beads. If I did that here to here, then I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of those small rondelles. 3, 6, 9, and 12. Okay. And then 2, 4, 6, 8 of the bicones, which is, I have 9, so that's perfect. And I have plenty of the other items already out. Cool. I only needed to get more of the small rondelles off. So if I'm going to do this, I'm just going to start on one end, and I'm just going to string all the way until I finish this crystal pattern on this side. And then I'm going to check it just to make sure that that is what I want, with room to attach this clasp. No, not here. Here. Because I'm going to have 3 of the blue stones. Yes, that looks more correct. Because that will fit. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do it, except, yeah. I'm gonna check it. I might add one of the small rondelles to either end, just to add a little bit more length while still doing my pattern, because I think I need just a tiny bit more length than this would give me on its own. So it's pretty easy. We're gonna do this. It looks like this video is probably going to exceed the hour. I do like to keep my video under an hour if possible, so that YouTube does the automatic dubbing, but that is not always possible. And I think with this design and how this is all going, I need to see what I've already strung. I was holding it in my hand and then I can't see what I've done, and then I'm doing the wrong thing. But I think, especially since we are also going to be making earrings at the end of this, and I decided to do a full set, necklace, bracelet, and earrings, I think that this will probably exceed that. In fact, I know it will. I'm looking at how long I've already recorded, and honestly, I don't want to have a super edited, cut out a whole bunch of stuff in between experience for you guys. So I won't be. What you see is what you get. And again, I'm just repeating that same pattern. You could vary the pattern if you wanted to. This just ended up being a really great repeat where I can get basically most of the pattern right on there, use the same clasp, and have a little bracelet that that goes with. If I wanted to, I could change the clasp for something smaller and do something different, maybe an extender chain with a lobster claw. There's all kinds of different things that you could do, but since this is going to work out and I have the beads to do it, it's what I'm doing, because I have plenty of the beads that I'm using. Just double checking what I've already done, just to make sure that I haven't forgotten anything. It's kind of like a dark caramely butterscotch. I think that's why I like these tones. I don't like all the browns, but these ones feel very like yummy. Okay, getting near the end here. Oops, get this guy. Yeah. Okay. So this strung length is about 15 centimeters. I like my bracelet to fit at 20 centimeters, and from crimp to crimp, it's 16 centimeters. So I need about 1 centimeter, and I'm sorry, let me move this up here. So I have a mark here for where I like my bracelet to be. So I've got this from bead to bead is 15 centimeters. And then here, if you count in from the crimp over here to the crimp here, that is everything but this 1 centimeter right here. So this is how we finish it. I've got it strung to here. I don't think 2 of those rondelles is going to be enough. Let me add 2 on each side. Well, let's see. What's 1 centimeter? Yeah, 2 on each side. Because look at that. Those 4 beads is almost exactly that 1 centimeter that I need. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to add 2 of the small crystal rondelles to this side, and then we'll crimp it, and then we'll cut the wire down to what we need to add 2 rondelles and crimp on the other side. But what a sweet, simple bracelet that is. Love it. Love it, love it. All right. Gonna do this one, and since I already demonstrated it earlier, I'm not going to talk you through this crimp. I'm just going to go ahead and do it, but you'll be able to see me do it so that you can, you know, sometimes watching helps as well as hearing the instruction. So here we go again for the bracelet. I think I've just about got it. Yep. A little snippy snip. And then move those beads down. And I am going to make sure I have enough to do the crimp on the other side. Like I said, I like about 2 inches for working a crimp. If I have a little bit of extra wire at the end, I don't mind. Let me make sure before I put this last crimp on that I didn't forget anything major. Oh, I almost forgot these two, because I said I was going to make sure I had room to do these, which I did, because again, the two inches gives me a little bit of extra leeway. All right, so I've got those 2 smaller rondelles on the end here. Here we go. And I am just making sure that I'm clear of that crystal and doing this crimp as well. And I'll do the same thing where I just attach with jump rings. I like to attach clasps with jump rings. I know that it's less secure than crimping it directly on, but I like it because sometimes I might need to change a clasp, and that way, or adjust a clasp, or, you know, whatever. It's a lot easier to do from a jump ring than not. Let's see. Here we go. Get 2 more of my little jump rings out. And repeating this pattern. Oh, and guys, we're going to be doing earrings. And I'm really excited because I think these are really pretty. And look how lovely that is with the leaf motif that we're doing with this design. I think those are going to be very nice for this. So and it doesn't really matter which side is which on the bracelet because they are the same. But putting my loop on one side and my bar on the other. Okay. Let's see. I didn't test it before I actually got it on here, but I've got my loop here and then my bar, and I'm just gonna grab the bar, pull it through. You know, my hand is currently in the way. See, if you have to fidget with it to even get it on, then that means that is a bar that is gonna hold. I like that. That works perfectly, and this is exactly how I like my bracelets to fit, where it rotates easily on the wrist, but is definitely not going to roll off. This is a perfect fit for me. Yay! Okay, I'm gonna wear it while we make earrings. Okay, let's get these going. All right, these are a for sure, definitely using these. I also want to pull in some of these. Let's go with, I don't know if I want, I'll probably do a link, make a link. Let me get my I'm not going to use the 22 gauge just because I did the wrapping on the pendant, which I like. That turned out really well. but I feel like I want to do simple loops for this. So I'm going to use a 20 gauge wire instead. It's a little bit easier to do. I'm just going to double check that it's going to give us the right tone. It is a little bit darker. It's less of that light color. Give me just a moment. I know I have recently gotten some gold eye pins. I want to see if they have a better tone. Okay, they were easier to locate than I thought, so that was really just a moment. Sorry, that's still shaking. I exuberantly unpaused, and apparently it didn't like that. So these are closer to the lighter gold that we've been using, and they're eye pins, so I can use them and just make a simple loop on the other end of it and hang our leaves. These are very light and delicate. They fall down so easy. I will need that. I am trying to see where it landed. I am gonna need to pause and find my other dangle because it flung right out of my hands, guys. I found it. It was a lot harder to find than one would imagine because my tile in my studio is a really light cream color. And this is such a light, delicate gold that it completely blended in. But it's okay. I found it. All right. Let's play with what we want to do for a link. I'm taking off some of the crystals that we've used elsewhere in the design. I'm not sure what we're going to do. We might play with a couple of different options. Like I said, I like to play. So just spilled all my crimp tubes. My baggie was open. I will clean that up in a moment, but I need to not speed up my cleanup. Okay. One thing that I could do is kind of a little bit of a pattern that includes all of the crystals as well as that blue, and then comes back out of the crystal. A little bit of a long link, but this is a really light dangle, so it would actually work fairly well for that. Let's see, like this. Like this. Or I could make a series of dangles. For example, what if I did this right here, and we'll give it a little bit more movement. And you could break this up and do it however you wanted. It felt like that was a really long section. So if we did this, and then a smaller link in between that was the blue stone just by itself, that's a possibility. Or the blue stone with these little guys. So it's not all alone by itself. Where did the other one go? There it is. Okay. Okay, I'm kind of liking that. So we would have link, link, and then the leaf. I'm going to play with this idea. I'm going to make those two loops and attach it to the leaf and see if I like it. And if I don't, then that's fine. I have more of these eye pins, so I can play around with this a little bit. So for these, I am going to change up which cutters I'm using because these are, I believe, stainless steel pins. Maybe. You know what? I was going to use my memory wire cutters because I use that for stainless steel. I think instead I'm just going to use a pair of my old cutters. If you're not sure if your metal for your pins are stainless steel or some other type of metal, use some old cutters for it instead of your good like cutters that you use for everything. So I'm going to use some old cutters instead of my good ones. All right, now in order for this to hang correctly from the ear wire, I believe this needs to be perpendicular loops. I'm just getting a couple of nickel-free ear wires out of my... Oh wait, no, I'm not using these. I'm not. I am using these ones. These are made with the same wire that I used for the wrapping earlier. My sister had made these for me, so I'm gonna use those, definitely. All right, but in order for those to work properly, yes, perpendicular loops. So we've got this loop here, see? Go ahead and if you want this to be a perpendicular loop, change it so that it is a straight line in front of you. And you can adjust this later if you need to, and then just bend the wire to the side. So we've got straight and then bent to the side. Okay, and then I need to cut this down to about 1 centimeter. This is where I'll find out if it's, I don't remember if it's stainless steel or not. If it's difficult to cut with these, then it's stainless steel. But either way, I'm not ruining good cutters. But I am cutting it down to about 1 centimeter left. Oh yeah, that was stainless steel. And it flung right out of my fingers. I was holding it and I have no idea where that went. I'm glad I wasn't using my good cutters. And then you take your round nose pliers and position the end of your wire where you cut it. And I did that the flush side towards me, by the way, and grip it between your pliers and roll it towards you. And just keep rolling until metal meets metal. And because we bent it over to start with, we have a centered loop at the top of this. That is, and I'm going to show you, get 2 sets of pliers if you want to check your loops to make sure that they are oriented the way you want them. Put one in one set of pliers and the other in the other set of pliers. See how it's not quite a 90-degree angle? All I have to do is move one and give them a little squish. That helps to work harden the links. You know what? I forgot that I was going to have a whole other link in there. So now I have to recalculate. I think that this just needs to be I think they both needed to be parallel loops. Yes, because I am using two links instead of just one, they need to be parallel loops. So you know what? That adjustment that I did, so easy to just do it again the other way. I'm just lining up. Yep. There we go. And just rotate them around so that they are now parallel. And I also, what I was checking was I wanted my, where the loop opens, I want it to be on the back of each of those so that it's a solid wire from one perspective. I'm going to do this other one the same way. If I miscalculated and I need to adjust it again, then I will, but I think that was correct. So, parallel loops. This is the open side of my loop, which means I'm going to hold it with the open side to my left and bend to the right. That's going to put my open side of this one also on the left. Using my old cutters, flush side down, and making sure I'm holding on to that so it doesn't just go flying. Oh, I think I found it. Nice. Okay, it didn't go as far as I thought it did. Okay. Okay, same thing again. Just grasp it and rotate it towards you until that metal comes back. If you need to adjust it a little bit, you can, but that should be fairly well centered. I'm going to switch to my chain nose pliers to tighten up this loop. See how I've got a little bit of a gap there? I'm just going to take it and wiggle it in close. And somewhere in the making of that, it stopped being parallel. So I'm fixing that as well. See, it's not quite, but now it is. Okay, now if I have figured this correctly, get my ear wires out that my sister gave me. Ignore the numbers written on it. It does not apply to these ear wires. That was something else, and then she was really sweet. She came for a visit and she just sat making me ear wires. Because of my metal allergy, she wanted to make sure I had some things I knew I could use, and I could use these. So let's get one of these assembled, and then if I figured out everything right, then it should be really quick to work the other one up. So give me just a moment. Okay, so we've got this, and we're going to attach it. And there is a front to these. So I don't know if you can see, but there is a carving in this section of it, and it is smooth on the back. So that's a little bit easier to see. So there is a front and a back to these, and I want to make sure that I've got that, you know, arranged appropriately when I'm making this. So I'm just going to take this link and I'm going to open it. I've got my open side back here. I want that to be at the back. So I'm going to put my leaf on like this so that the patterned side is toward the solid wire. And then I'm opening this side. This part shouldn't matter. This is just getting this other link on. And then holding this one, so we're holding these so that everything is oriented the way it's supposed to. Holding this one. Oh, I did it wrong. Hold on. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. Hold on. Like this. Okay, that's round and round. Here we go. All right. So then this side opens over here. And this is the front of my pendant. So I want to make sure that this is the front of my ear wire. So I've got the hook swung towards the back and then close it here. And I was right. Parallel loops on both gives us this long, dangly earring. And you could absolutely shorten this if you only want one of the two links, or if you didn't want to have the dangle on it at all, you could do that. I like how long I'm able to have this be without it being a heavy earring, because it is not at all heavy. Okay, now that I've worked out the bugs in that is going to be super easy to work up the second one. So I'm just going to make it right here with you. And then we'll get all of the pieces together for one last look. And I got distracted when I was paused earlier, so I didn't go and look up what the percentage is. I want to say it's 10% off our order using our coupon code, but definitely check the link. If you are thinking about placing an order, you may as well get some money off no matter how much that is. So use our coupon code and save some money, and also save some money because they're great deals at Pandahall. So, and I'm making some pretty things. Okay, so now that I have done this, I know that I need 4 more. I'm using these guys. Like, this is how much I have left. It's still quite a bit. But these smaller, lighter colored rondelles, I used them all over the place in this pattern because I was using them as spacers. And I think that really worked. It really did. So I'm going to do this slightly assembly line this time. Just making sure I'm bending the correct way. And that way I'll snip both of them and I'll roll their loops at the same time too. So that will be a little bit quicker. So bend that over and then put together our other one, which is our little crystal repeating pattern. If you hear some clicky claws, that is because my dog is checking things out and wondering where I am. She might come in here or she might not. We'll see. But I am almost done and she can wait. Also, she has her dad here, so you know, she is not left alone and lonely. All right, cutting both of these down. Again, these are my old cutters because these are stainless steel pins. Oh, did you hear that one? Yeah, that one went flying. I'll find it someday. Okay. And then making our loops. And just be careful when you're coming back on those glass beads that you don't key wrench them. They're very pretty with their faceting, but faceting does make them delicate. All right. And then I am going to go ahead and get my pliers out and make sure that my loops are parallel, nicely parallel, little squish for work hardening, and then the same again here. Oh, I did a really good job keeping them parallel this time. And now it's just assembly, just assembly. Again, making sure that my leaf is facing the solid line of that link. It just looks a little nicer. It's also being stubborn closing. Hold on. I've turned it in my hand. It's okay. It's the right direction. There. Okay. And then we've got this guy. And this is the one where it doesn't matter because those are going to be loops from when you look forward. But then we do need to make sure that the front and or back, I'm switching it to the back because I'm right-handed and it's currently opening on the right. So if this is the back, then I want my hook forward. I did the opposite last time. And again, it all depends on how you're holding it in your hand. Hold it the way that is comfortable for you and then check your pendant. And we have our earrings. Oh my gosh, guys. Okay, time for last look. This will only take me a moment to clear off my tools, to take my bracelet off, to put my necklace on the mat. Oh gosh, guys, it's so cute. Look at how cute this is. I'm loving these earrings. Loving, loving, loving these earrings. All right. And then we've got our bracelet here. Yeah, I didn't have any trouble with that feeling like it was slipping loose. So I am very pleased with this clasp for this use. But look at all of that. Oh, this is so pretty. Okay, I'm in love with Aqua Terra. I'd never seen it before. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna get. I saw a few examples when I saw them listed and I'm like, I'm not sure. But this was a lot of fun. And this is very much kind of a farewell to fall for me. I think it's beautiful. And I think that we have definitely made something special here. I love these soft blue greens that come in here and just kind of lighten it all up. And I've got a little bit of too much of a glare on that one. I want a little bit shining on there, but not so bright. But gosh, I love this, guys. It's so pretty. It is so pretty. I'm just flipping all of the leaves so that they go the same way. Not that it matters. It will probably not stay that way when I wear it, but for this last look, this is lovely. So yes, this is my second video for this collaboration with Pandahall. Make sure you check out all the links before or below. Most of this came from our collaboration. I did add a few things from my stash. If I can find some similar items on Pandahall's website, I will include those as well. But all of these other beads, all of these crystals, the pendant itself, the rounds were part of that Alice Blue mix that I got. That's all going to be in the description along with our coupon code for a discount when you shop at Pandahall. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I know I had a lot of fun making it. This is beautiful, guys. This turned out so much better than I thought it would because I just wasn't sure. I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to successfully wrap, and I feel like I did. And yeah, I'm enjoying this, and I want to get myself some more Aqua Terra Jasper because that's gorgeous. Anyway, I hope you had a great time. If you liked this video, hit like. If you want to see more, subscribe. And as always, my friends, happy beading, and don't forget to play. Bye!